And Gary Jacob followed in his article off the back of the potential Basuma deal, and he said Tottenham are also quietly confident of persuading Christian Eriksen to join Tottenham. Obviously, there has been reports that from Alfredo Padula over the past few days that Brentford have been unable to convince him to re-sign for them, and he is going to leave on a free, and he will be leaving Brentford. Obviously, Man United have been heavily linked with his signature. Obviously, with Ten Hag now through the door, he was training at Ajax during some of his time off when he was recovering from the cardiac arrest. So obviously he has a connection there. And obviously maybe Ten Hag plays that football Eriksen likes to play. But surely you would like to think that Tottenham are the most attractive option for him, seeing he's played under Antonio Conte before at Inter Milan. Spurs is a place he knows and he loves. I think it's very similar to the Kane situation, where Kane obviously wanted to leave during that time. I said at the time during the Kane situation, I don't think it's that Kane wanted to leave. I think it's that he felt he had to leave. Yep. And I think it's the same with Eriksen at the time when he was going through his troubles at Spurs when he left. I didn't think that I think Eriksen loved being at Spurs. I think he loved Tottenham, but he obviously being at Tottenham for so long, never won anything, and then Pochettino being sacked, things weren't going that great under Mourinho. I think he felt like, look, I need to go. I think it's time for me for a change. He went and won the league in Inter Milan. I think he had a good time over there. Obviously, it took time for him. But I think if he does come back to Tottenham, he comes back to a very different Tottenham that he left. Tottenham moving in the right direction. A Tottenham that actually, hopefully, are looking to win things this season, actually challenge for big things. One that's backing their manager, has got a world-class manager at the helm, and maybe he can be reinvigorated to rejoin Spurs. And right now, I think he's nearly as, like what I've seen from him at Brentford and for Denmark, he's as good as he's ever been.
Yeah, I mean, I was really disappointed with Eriksen the way he left. I got very, very emotional about this, just the manner of it and everything. And I've been saying for a long time, I don't want him back. But I've had to take a step back and take the, like I've said, we've got to stop being sentimental and thinking all this. If you can get Eriksen in on a free, what he did at Brentford, and he came back, and if he comes back and it's looking likely, as you said, it's a completely different Tottenham to where he left. The mood around the camp is completely different. The signings we're making are completely different, and those four midfielders we're just talking about. If we need someone to come out to create something out of nothing, then for a free, I don't think we can go wrong with Christian Eriksen. I'm going to have to declare I'm back on I want Eriksen to sign now. I really do, because you're looking at the money we spend on Basuma. Get Eriksen in for a free, then there's a lot of money to develop the defensive positions, which is where we need the main surgery, I think, to get in the big players. So I'm fully on board getting Eriksen back now. I really have done a 180.
Yeah, I mean, can you think of a player who's as creative as Christian Eriksen, even right now, playing for Brentford since he's come back? Yeah. I think he's proven at Brentford that he's still up to playing Premier League football. There was obviously question marks with his health and everything, but look, he's got the pacemaker now. Yep. I don't think he wants his whole career to have been all about everything leading to what he's achieved in his career. At 30 years old, he's still got so much to give, I feel. And I don't think he wants the cardiac arrest to be a stopping point. Yep. I think he wants I want it to be something that's part of the journey. And obviously it's horrific that happened. And I'm thankful that I'm so happy that he's made a full recovery. But I don't think he wants his career to be about that. I think the next few years of his career, I think he wants to challenge for big things. He's still, you don't get to the level he has without being a very, very ambitious player. Yep. And he's super ambitious. And I think he wants a challenge for the Champions League again. I think he wants those big Champions League nights and those big game occasions again. And I think he can do all of that at Tottenham. I really believe that. And I would be super happy with him coming back to the club. And on a free transfer, it's a no-brainer. There's no one in Europe you're getting for on a free who's as good as him. And even if we spent big money on him, if we signed him for big money, there are very few players, if any, who are as creative as Eriksen in Europe right now. So and that's one of the things that we're crying out for, especially when we're playing teams with low block, is a bit of creativity.
Yep.
Someone who can unlock the door from deep positions in and around the penalty area. He can use his left foot, right foot unbelievably well. We know everything about Eriksen. Long shot, brilliant. Corners needs work, but maybe he won't be on corners once he. Look, to be fair, his corners for Brentford have been pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think Eriksen, people saying it's sentimental. I don't think it's about us being sentimental. I think we're seeing world-class talent who has very much a role in this team that needs filling.
Yep.
And I think Spurs should definitely try their hardest to bring him in. The only counter argument I can see is that we had him before and things, ended quite badly. If we took that out of the equation, I think it's a no-brainer. But because of that, some people say you should never go back. Sometimes second time round's never as good as you remember it and things like that. But for me, I think if we have this reinvigorated Eriksen and we seem to be seeing right now, I don't see it as even a discussion. We get him through the door if we're able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing you got to look at as well is he might want to come back and settle the score and get things over the line and be even more determined to win a trophy for Tottenham. But you look at it now. When he left, Dele was on the way down. Son and Eriksen were still there doing what they do. But now you got Decky, Son, and Kane all firing. And if you need someone to pick out a pass to find them or whatever, I don't think you could go much further than Christian Eriksen. And that's awesome. It brings the desk name back, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Decky, Eriksen, Son, and Kane. So,
and you got to remember as well when he was obviously. He wanted to leave. That was in Pochettino's last season. He had a year left of his contract. He never signed one. He wanted to leave. But you got to remember what was going on at the club. Obviously, we just reached Champions League final, which everyone was disappointed about. But you got to remember, we signed Ndombele, Lo Celso. They haven't worked out at all. He now has a midfield that can work for him. Yep. Obviously, he's still a very hard worker. He's actually supplied some of the highest running stats in the league since rejoining Brentford. And he consistently, as I said, he consistently did that at Tottenham. So he's always been a player who can do the hard yards. But now he's not doing the extra work that Ndombele and maybe Lo Celso weren't doing for him when he was at Tottenham. Now he's got Bentancur, Højbjerg, Basuma, Skip, all players who can do the dirty work as much as he can also help out in that department. Obviously, he's not elite in that. He's got players now around him who can do that dirty work for him, get the ball to him, and also he's got a Son and Kane playing at a world-class level. Kane as well, he needs that creative burden taken off him. As much as he's unbelievably creatively, and I think he's really good in the creative department, it also would help if we're not just reliant on Kane for creation. Because all of a sudden, if we have Eriksen there, then Kane can make certain runs that he wasn't doing before.
Correct.
Because he knows a lot of the time he wasn't being found because there's no creativity in the central areas without someone like of Eriksen's ilk. That would help Kane. It would help players like Son with his runs in behind as well. I think he would link up really well with Decky on the right-hand side. I think he's versatile as well, can play a bit deeper, I think in that 3-4-3 as well, I could see him in one of those front three positions and one of those number 10s positions. I can see him there as well, potentially if we need him, because they like to play them quite centrally.
Yep.
And 3-5-2 especially. And he gives us tactical flexibility as well. So I'm super excited about a potential Eriksen rejoining.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it is when he comes in as well. He hasn't got to learn about Son or Kane's game, has he? It's like hand in glove with those three, and then working with Decky. He's just been sensational. I don't see it's all pluses, isn't it? It really is. And then hopefully we get the Eriksen that's come back. Like you said, at Brentford, at Denmark, he's done sensational. He's scored on, I think, on every international, or at least played a pivotal goal contribution in every international he's played since he's been back. And it's, like I said, I am now fully in the get Eriksen back camp. It has to be said.
All right, next up, we're going to be talking about another deal that seems to have been progressing over the last week quite significantly, and that's the deal for Richarlison. Also, we brought you that Bruno Andrade last week said Spurs were in advanced talks with Richarlison over a potential €60 million deal last week. things have gone a bit colder in the last few days, in the sense that we haven't got any more updates in the sense and the deals progress. However, we do have a few more updates. One of them from Matt Law, saying of the Telegraph, he says Spurs are prepared to offer Harry Winks and Lucas Moura as part of an offer to sign Richarlison, who they value at well over 50 million. Obviously, Fabrizio Romano as well followed up the story that we spoke about last week, saying that Everton want more than the reported 60 million euros that Spurs are prepared to pay for Richarlison, which I don't think. I think 50 for me. I said before, I think 60 million euros is a fair price. I think for me, the profile of Richarlison, he's 25 years of age. He's Prem proven. He consistently gets over 10 goals in the Premier League. He can play on the left wing. He can play up front. He's a very good quality striker for me. Brazilian international, gets in the Brazil squad, probably going to go to the World Cup. He's a fighter, hard worker. I think he's a real Conte player for me. So I think that price is fair. So anything more than that, I think then you're in the territory of that's way over the odds. A lot of people saying, the 60 million euros is already over the odds. I think it's fair. One more update before we get your opinion, Brian, and that's from UOL Esporte, which is a Brazilian publication. They're claiming Richarlison has turned down a move to Arsenal as he prefers a switch to either Tottenham or Chelsea going to summer. Obviously, Richarlison has been talking to the media on international duty, saying, look, the club know what I want. I've made it clear what I want. I'm not going to say it publicly, but the club know what I want. So I'm pretty sure he's alluding to the fact he wants to leave. Obviously, his 25 years of age, having been at Everton for 4 years, he probably, and I don't know if he ever played in Europe for Everton.
I don't think so.
I don't know if he was there ever in Europe when he was there. But he's going to want to make that step up to Champions League football. I don't think he want to wait any longer to try out to go to Europa League football in the hope that maybe they get Champions League. So I do think there's legs in the fact that Arsenal are interested, but he would rather come to us. But look, Brian, first of all, what do you think of a potential deal money-wise? And if we could include Lucas and Winks in that deal, would that be something you're in favour of?
So the first thing, I like him a little bit more now because he's turned down Arsenal. So he's turned the filth down, so that's always a nice thing to hear. I know where you're going with this, and I understand why people want it. I just don't think he's the work rate and everything, yes. The work rate is undeniable. The yards he puts in, the hard graft, he's a 90-minute run your socks off player. I just think he might not be the one. If he comes, he comes. And we've also got to remember...
You're not a fan of Richarlison?
Do you know what? Some of the stuff he does during the match, I am. But overall, for that amount of money, I think 60... We said, what is it? 60 million euros, which is about
50, yeah, 51 million. Yeah.
So yeah, I just think that's a little too high. But the thing you got to remember as well, with Winks and Moura added into this deal, Winks and Moura could just turn around and say no, and then that kiboshes that deal. You know, I mean, it's good to.
Or you need to add the money. Instead,
exactly. And then if we add the money for them too, because they say no, then it's extortionate for me. But he's one of those players that if he comes for me, he comes. I've seen a lot of Everton fans, tweet on this saying, do you know what, with Richarlison, you really don't know what you've got until you see him. He's one of those players that comes, and the Everton fans love him. They absolutely love him, which is a good indication. But for me, I think maybe look for myself, look elsewhere. But it's one of those, if it happens, it happens. And I'll be delighted to be proved wrong if he does turn good.
For me, I think he's been a standout in, first of all, struggling Watford side. Or I don't know if they got relegated that season, but they were definitely a struggling Watford side. I mean, they're always struggling, that's the truth. But I think it was a standout for them. He then signed, he signed for Everton for 50 million euro, 50 million, I think it was 35 million pounds rising to 50. You could argue they overpaid for him 4 years ago. But he did sign for that amount of money. I think he's consistently been a consistent performer in a very inconsistent side. You've got to remember, Everton, throughout the years, under Ancelotti, under Rafa Benitez, now under Frank Lampard, whoever they've had, under Marco Silva as well, they have just been a side who've been always in crisis, always in trouble, haven't had a footballing identity. They've been struggling sides, and he's always been one to step above, to rise above that. And I think he's been one to actually put in consistent performances. And when they really needed him in a relegation fight last season to step up and be counted, he did that. Scored the winner against Chelsea, scored the goals against Crystal Palace to win that game when they needed him to stay up. I think he's a real king of shithousery.
Yep.
I think he's a hard worker. I think he's super talented, great finisher, good dribbler. I think passing creation could do a bit of work, but maybe with better players that will come. So for me, I don't think there are many better players right now who would fit the role that we need to. Could play. Who's also versatile. Can play up front.
Yep.
Could play on the wing. For me, I would love him through the door. I think it would be an excellent signing and Prem proven as well. So I don't see. I think this one would go in the mould of, if we were not to sign him and someone else would get their hands on him, he will be a star in a couple of years, and we'll be thinking, what were we thinking not going for him? I'm telling you right now, you put him in a really good team, he could be a star. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
That part you're saying, I can kind of agree. It's one of those that if you don't, and even me, it might come back to bite me on the arse and say, but I know with the hard work that you saw in the last few games of Everton's awful season, that the work he was putting in and the effort he put in, we just best not put any smoke, those things on, that he chucked back into the crowd, because he'll throw them straight back at us. But yeah, no, he could be a good addition. I just think, like you said, you really want it. I'm kind of one of those that if he comes and I'll support him. And then hopefully he'll do the job that you see. Like I say, do you know what, Simeon? You're right. It's not one of those that I'm saying no at all costs. I just think maybe there's different options out there.
It reminds me a bit when Liverpool was signing Mane, and I remember at the time they paid like 35 million. Everyone was like, what are they doing? What for? He was at Southampton. He was quite an inconsistent player at Southampton. And everyone was like, oh, they've overpaid for him. He's overpriced. He's not that good. Why are they paying all this money? And then once he got in a team with better players, he was flying. Yeah. I reckon Richarlison could be very similar. But look,
it's a very good comparison.
Yeah, that's how I see it. And last but not least, we got the deal for Jed Spence, and Matt Law has saying that he expects the deal for Jed Spence to accelerate this week, and he does expect it to happen. Fabrizio Romano saying Antonio Conte's Tottenham rebuild was due to continue with the signing of Jed Spence for Middlesbrough for a fee similar to Basuma's, which is quite expensive. I see. Matt Law also said that Tottenham don't want to spend more than £10 million up front for Jed Spence, but Middlesbrough are looking for more than that up front. So that's quite interesting. Maybe Tottenham are looking for a deal with add-ons and so forth. But this deal as well looks to be progressing. He played, I think, 2 days ago yesterday for the England under-21s, and he scored an own goal within the first minute. So he definitely proper Spurs. But is this one that you're definitely looking to get over the line? And do you think Jed Spence, at 21 years of age, never played Premier League football in his career, as much as he's clearly a good talent and clearly, you know, you look at his performances in the FA Cup against Premier League sides, clearly he's a talented player. But is he one who will solve our problems at right wing back, do you think?
No. I think he has the potential. As I've been saying, I think this is potential over quality once again. But if you look at the quality we are signing, we weren't all going to buy A-listers. They're all going to slot in immediately. There is going to be the odd one for the future coming in, and I can see him being one for the future. I'm very much like you. You were talking with Ben last week at some point, and I think you had someone on a call as well who was saying that if we get another right back in as well, that's a bit more experienced, Premiership ready, then yeah, it could be a very, very good signing. Or not even Premiership ready, like if it was a Dumfries, for instance, so he could learn from him. I don't think with Champions League football immediately, you never know. He could be like a Danny Rose and find himself and do absolutely brilliantly. If this one gets over the line for me, this is one for the future, and like I said, potential over quality for this one. But if it happens, it happens. As a young English one, I actually didn't realise he was only 21. I thought he was a couple of years older.
No, he's very young.
So that's listen. For me, he's got the attributes of a Conte player. He's got the build. He's got the stamina. He's got the physique. So if they're key attributes that Conte wants, then you bring him in. and we see where we go with him. But I think there's better out there. But if it happens, it's another young English talent that comes into the club. With what we're signing already, we can't expect to sign every single player Premiership ready if they come. So this is a position
bring in the experience of Perisic as well, levels
exactly.
out of it.
And this is a position, if you remember, we're trying to get right since Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker, that we have not had a solid. Trippier was already there, but he's gone, obviously.
I think Trippier will probably work better now than he would under Poch, actually.
I think he would as well. I think Aurier bloody well would as well.
Yeah.
But let's not bring him back. But if Spence is the road we're going down, then that's the road we go down. It's a 21-year-old, and we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, but would you be worried if we did just sign Spence and then obviously maybe we sold one of Emerson and Doherty and that's what we were going forward with?
Yeah, we'll be a little worried.
Because I would as well. Actually, Emerson's been talking to the media and he's saying that he wants to... he's still looking at his future with Tottenham and he wants to be a legend at Tottenham, he said.
Oh, really?
Emerson said that. So he doesn't seem to be one that looks to be on the move anytime soon. Obviously, Doherty's got that long-term injury.
Yep.
So it would be a bit worrying that if we were to sign Spence, then and we go into the season, let's say, with one of Doherty or Emerson, then we're either relying on Spence to make that step up seamlessly, which he might do, but also he might take time. And then we're relying on either Doherty, who I agree had a brilliant run of form between February and April before getting that injury. Yep. But he got a very bad injury, like a really bad one. Yep. So how long he's going to take to get back to his best, that level, because it took him a long time to get to show that level.
It did.
So how long it will take him to get to that level again is a question. Then Emerson, to be fair to him, he had a very good end to the season. So I'm not going to bash him too much, but whether he's ever going to be what we want from a right wing back is also very questionable. So are there just too many question marks there?
For me, Emerson's form happened just as Cody Mack got the shirt. So Cody has to wear it like my grey shirt that I wear every game. This, like I said, we go back to this. Kyle Walker's the last solid right back. We had a great right back, and we know how important wing backs are to Conte. They are pivotal to his team, and I just think if you were to say, let's just say Doherty, I think's out. Is he back for training at the start of the season, or is it a little bit later?
I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Let's put it this way: he ain't going to be match fit until about November if it's the summer, and obviously a little bit later if it's Christmas with the World Cup. So yeah, I would be worried if it was just Emerson and Spence. But like I said, Spence could hit the ground running.
Yeah, and then
Emerson, after a year under his belt with Spurs, could come back and carry on where he left off. But it would be a question mark for me on that position.
I do worry, though, a bit in terms of hoping Spence hits the ground running. Yep. But then all of a sudden, if, like, say, he does take a couple of months to get either first we'll get used to Conte's system or just to make the step up from Championship to Premier League on a regular basis, playing week in, week out. And if he doesn't do that immediately, well, then all the fans will be getting on his back. Oh, he's not good enough. This guy, we should never have signed him. And is that fair to put that kind of pressure on a very young player? And, Emerson's already... he's only a year older than Spence, and he's been under like that kind of pressure from last season, fairly or unfairly. That's reality. So I don't know if that's why I'd want to bring in another more experienced head who's gonna be more sure of going to be playing at right wing back. But whether we'll do that, have to wait and see. That is it for the Spence deal. Just quickly can we go back to the Eriksen deal? There's just one thing I want to go through with Eriksen because there has been a few quotes coming out from Christian Eriksen talking to Danish media. Eriksen, not Richarlison. So Eriksen, the quotes are, he was speaking to the Danish publication on BT Sport, and he says, I asked if it's hard to make a decision going for his future. He said, I don't know why it's hard to make a decision. Maybe because you need the last thing in order to find out what you want. It's really hard to say what the outcome will be. Sometimes it can happen fast. Other times it's slow. You're not always a master of your own faith. It also depends what the possibilities are in terms of clubs. And then you have to make a decision for that. For me, it's about making the right decision. I'm going on holiday and I will be relaxing a bit. We're going to go swimming and get a little tan and eat some nice food. I'll have my cell phone turned on. I know my agent well enough and he'll call me if anything interesting comes along. If not, he won't call me. So would you like? And obviously, it's that he's not really giving anything away.
No.
But like some people may be reading that thinking that means Tottenham haven't quite made a move yet based on that. But do you think maybe he's just assessing his options before finally making a decision? It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, you said it as well. What I saw yesterday is Man U are making a serious attempt to get him. I think I personally think his heart's set on Spurs, and that could be when he said I'm waiting for the phone to ring if anything interesting comes up. That could be just let me know if Spurs come in. It could be something completely different, but I think his heart is set on Spurs. He'll go into the club, but he's come back, had a wonderful second half of the season, and now he gets to spend some time with his family. I mean, I'm surprised he even said to have his phone turned on. I thought he was going to say I have my phone turned off.
Oh, he needs a new club.
Yep, but obviously he could call his wife's phone. But never mind. But yeah, I think he just wants to go away, take a break. I think he's really wanted Spurs. He knows London. He hasn't got to get used to Manchester. He hasn't got to do anything. I know Chelsea are there, but I don't think he would choose Chelsea. I just don't think for his loyalty or anything. I just couldn't see him choosing Chelsea.
We have an update on the Jed Spence deal
go.
as of 30 seconds ago. So let's bring that up again. This is coming from David Ornstein of The Athletic. He is obviously very, very reliable source. And the update is as follows. Jed Spence has expressed a preference to sign for Tottenham this summer as negotiations continue between Middlesbrough and Tottenham Hotspur over a fee. No agreement so far. Talks are ongoing, and the 21-year-old favours Spurs ahead of other suitors. So that is the update from David Ornstein as of 30 seconds ago regarding the Jed Spence deal. Seems like we've stolen ahead of the competition when it comes to convincing him to come to Tottenham. Sounds like he wants the deal, which you know, considering what he was saying at the end of the season about him really wanting to be at Nottingham Forest next season and stuff like that, because you know they gave him the chance and obviously other teams were in for him. Now it seems Tottenham definitely have convinced him to come, and it's all about whether we can get that fee agreed with Middlesbrough to get the deal done. So that's really, really positive.
That is exceedingly positive. Like we said, I personally thought he would be going to Forest. That's what I was worried about, because obviously he did say that at the beginning and he wanted to be loyal to Forest after giving him his chance. But it looks like we've stolen a race. Where it says no fee yet to be agreed, you got to remember on Friday this broke, we were in advanced stages of the talks. So obviously, I think it's more into the, like you said, they want more than 10 million originally. Was it 10 million you said we offered?
10 million up front.
Yeah, I think that's where the stumbling block, isn't it? So it looks like this deal will go ahead. It's just got to be a deal more that favours Middlesbrough than us.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder what the price will look like. There's obviously some people saying 15 million. Some people like Romano saying it's going to be closer to Basuma's fee. I would assume it would be around 15 plus add-ons.
Yep.
Well, if he plays a certain amount of games or does some amount of things, get Champions League football and stuff,
Yep.
maybe the add-ons will come. Tottenham definitely like to be incentive based in those kind of deals. But look, sounds like he wants the move. That was always one of the questions, whether he it's
another hurdle over, isn't it?
That's another hurdle. So look, very, very very, very exciting. It sounds like the Jed Spence deal accelerating, but we need to get that fee agreed with Middlesbrough first.